Drive around Youngstown, any side of town, it doesn't matter, and you'll see vacant houses and buildings, all of which have stories to tell. Tonight, in our First News special report, I have the story of one of those properties, how it went from a family-filled home to a vacant piece of land.
It became vacant probably a little in the early 2000s, probably like about 2002.
All that's left for Derek Jones are the memories, because the property where his family's home once stood, 631 Ridge Avenue on Youngstown's Lower South Side, is now just a vacant lot. The neighbors' houses are still there, one being held together by a tattered tarp, but 631 Ridge is no more.
My bedroom was in the attic for my last couple of years here at high school before I went to college. And right out that attic window, that middle window at the top, you had a beautiful view of Youngstown.
They didn't move on to Ridge until 1955-56.
In 2008, Derek Jones produced a documentary of his family's years at 631 Ridge Avenue, how his grandparents Cecil and Naomi Dial bought the house and fixed it up. Derek's mother, Joyce Jones, does much of the narration.
He's the one that built the brick wall around it, but didn't have a garage, so he built the garage. And he added the patio to it. And we had a pretty nice house. My father had finished our basement, so we had a full bar. I can remember being little and my parents entertaining.
Cecil and Naomi divorced, but Joyce and her mother would remain at 631 Ridge. And then Derek, his brother, and sister came along, and the house was given to Joyce and her family.
It was the same family, same house, same furniture.
The carpet, it was kind of ugly, but it was home. We kind of became the party animals of the neighborhood.
I lived in the house pretty much my whole life until I left for college.
Then, in 1997, came the first fire in the basement. 3 years later, a second fire, electrical, in the attic. It forced Joyce Jones and her family out of 631 Ridge for good.
The roof had started to leak, and every time it would rain, my bedroom would leak. I could never afford a new roof, ever. So we moved.
631 Ridge would become just another vacant house in Youngstown. The homeless would use it. Graffiti was painted on the walls. But to the very end, the basement bar where all those parties took place remained standing. That is until this past June 5th, when a third fire destroyed it all.
They were called to the house on Ridge Avenue about 3 o'clock this morning, but decided to let the structure burn.
All that's left today at 631 Ridge are some small piles of basement block, a steel pole that held up the back awning, and the brick wall built by Cecil Dial in the 1950s. Discarded tires sit in front of the wall, and there are some big cracks, but hey, it's still there. Derek Jones' mother still owns the now vacant land, so who knows?
I really, have high hopes for the ability to come back here one day and say, hey, this is our land, let's build something. If, I have anything to say about it, people will be here again.
We told the story of 631 Ridge back 60 years, 3 generations, but the house itself was built in 1912, so it had been around over 100 years before the last fire took it down. Now make sure at 11 you switch the channel over to WKBN TV 27, because during the 11 o'clock news, I'll have the memories of another vacant house, this one on the west side, North Bon Air Avenue. Elaine Welsh and her son Tom have some good stories there as well.